So let's get started. So Penn Engineering, so we're a relatively small school within a large Penn. And the way it's kind of broken down, we break it down into 6 different departments. And we're looking at about 2,000 undergraduates within the engineering school. Our incoming freshman class each year is 400. And of those 400, about 43% were women in this year's class. So it's really a nice size. You really get to know your peers, your faculty, all the different staff within the office, in the offices that you'll be working with. So it's a really great atmosphere. We're really able to keep track of our students. So why Penn Engineering? Being a part of the whole of Penn, you have so many opportunities, for broad-based education. We have second majors and minors within the college, concentrations within your major. I like to say there's flexibility within an inflexible engineering curriculum because engineering is structured, and there are requirements that need to be met. We have interdisciplinary majors, a low student-faculty ratio. Again, as I said, getting to know your faculty, your advisors. Our courses, most all courses are taught by our faculty and advised by our faculty. And there are also many research opportunities. So we're going to dive quickly into the curriculum. So within Penn Engineering, we have 2 different degrees. We have the BSc degree, which is your Bachelor of Science in Engineering degree, which is your professional engineering degree. That is the most known degree for engineering. We also offer the BAS, which is the Applied Science degree, and that is a technical degree. It's not an engineering degree. So you would choose a degree based on really what your goals are when, your future goals. So, for example, if you're maybe pre-med, you might choose the BAS in biomedical science. If you're not looking to go into the field of engineering. So really, if you're dual degree, you might choose the more flexible BAS degree. So it really ultimately will be determined by you and your goals and your interests as well. So you'll see the majority of our programs are offered as a BAS. And so I always, if in doubt, the BSc is the more known degree, but if you really know what your goals are, and the BAS is more suited for you, that's your other option. All of our programs are ABET accredited with the exception of our digital media design and network and social systems engineering. And those are interdisciplinary specialized programs that many universities do not offer. So these, again, the interdisciplinary majors, network and social systems engineering, which is known as NETS, combines computer science, system science, and economics. When you apply for that program, you'll be required to have an additional essay, and it's a limited enrollment program. When a program is a limited enrollment program, you also choose a default major within engineering. So if you are not considered for that program, you'll still be looked at in the engineering school. Digital media design, DMD, combines computer science, communications, and fine arts, and it requires a portfolio when applying. That is also a limited enrollment program, and you would choose a default major either within engineering or the College of Arts and Sciences. So we don't penalize someone for choosing a limited enrollment program. We'll still look at the student overall in the engineering pool. And then computer engineering is within engineering, and it combines computer science and electrical engineering. These programs are overseen by Amy Calhoun, the Director of Integrated Studies. And so if you want to take note of her email address for any follow-up questions you might have about any of those 3 programs. So I talked briefly about concentrations. So we revamped the curriculum, and our current freshman class is part of this program. We have added many concentrations that students may pursue, actually any student, so the seniors can pursue the concentrations as well. if you complete a concentration, that gets posted onto your transcript. So we really wanted to provide, more clusters of courses in specialized areas for students, as you can see. So, if you're in computer science, you have an interest in AI, there's a concentration for AI. Electrical engineering, robotics is really popular. You can get a concentration in robotics. So it's a really great enhancement to your single degree and major. So the curriculum, as I mentioned, we have the new curriculum for our freshmen, and all majors and degrees are a minimum of 37 course units. To kind of put it into perspective, all of our Penn students that are joining us today are completing at least 40 course units for their degrees. So they're jealous of this new curriculum, but like I said, they got a little more bang for their buck. So all the new programs are 37 course units to provide a little more flexibility. And we do course units at Penn. So a class is a course unit. And if it has a lab, it's 1.5 course units. So you're going to average, 4.5, 5 course units per semester. And it's broken down into about 4 equally weighted tracks: your math and natural science, your core engineering, your professional electives, and then your social science, humanities, and your free electives. So we do think it's important to be a well-rounded engineering student. So we do think it's important to have those social science and humanities. You'll have to take a writing course, an ethics course. That's all going to be part of your curriculum as well. Dual degrees are a minimum of 46 course units. Dual majors, that's 1 BSc and 2 engineering majors, 37 course units. And then we also offer submatriculation and accelerated masters, and that's a minimum of 44 course units. And that's where you can count 3 of your graduate courses towards your undergraduate. So many of the students can complete the undergraduate and the master's within 5 years. And then if you have AP or IB credit that comes in, that can provide you even a little more flexibility if you're planning, multiple degrees or majors. So again, I'll go a little deeper dive into the academic options. So dual degree would be 2 separate degrees. I like to say 2 separate diplomas on your wall when you finish. We have 2 coordinated dual degree programs that you would apply to as an incoming freshman. So we have M&T, which is the Management and Technology, and that is with engineering and Wharton School of Business. And then we have VIPER, which is Vagelos Integrated Program in Energy Research, and that's with engineering and the College of Arts and Sciences. When you apply to one of those coordinated programs on your application, you would choose your default school. So M&T, you would choose either engineering or business as your default. These are also limited enrollment programs. So we have about 50 in the M&T program, and probably around 20 in the VIPER program each year. So with VIPER, you would choose either engineering or the college as your single school option. And they both also require additional essays. So those can be applied to as an incoming student, and they're coordinated, which means there's courses that link the 2 degrees. Uncoordinated, you can apply to at the end of your freshman year. And so at the end of freshman year, you can apply for uncoordinated dual degree with the college, with Wharton, with nursing. So then we also have dual major, which is 1 BSc and 2 majors from engineering. And then you would do 1 senior design project between the 2. Second major in the college is if you're in engineering, and let's say you're BSc studying mechanical engineering, and you have a deep interest in English, you would just need to meet the English major requirements and not all the sector additional, requirements that the college requires for a degree. So, and then we have minors. So the way it works is minor, so it's usually 6 to 8. Second major, 12, it could be up to 12 courses, and then degree. So those are kind of depending on how deep you want to go. So minors are, relatively common for, our students. So I'd say about 70 75% of our students will pursue a minor. And you can, as long as you plan. So everything with engineering will require, good intentional planning. I'm a big fan of the academic plan. And you can, do your minor within your major and not exceed that 37 course units. So, and then concentrations, which we just talked about. Study abroad, I think Aviva did a study abroad, so she'll be able to talk about her experiences. Right now, study abroad's on hold, obviously due to COVID. But, I know Penn Global is wanting to, to get that back in action, but we're still kind of waiting to see how, once everyone gets their vaccines and we start getting back to the new normal. And again, the accelerated master's program and submatriculation. So advising. So advising is one of my my passions, one of the things that I love to do in my role. So any student that comes into engineering will be assigned a faculty advisor with, that starts right at the first year. Each department has an undergraduate curriculum chair who's a faculty member and a coordinator, an undergraduate coordinator. And then my office, the Office of Research and Academic Services, we have professional advisors, and we work with the dual degrees and general advising. And right now we're doing all Zoom advising, so that's been working well. Peer advisors play a really big role this summer prior to your matriculation. So in the summertime, when you're choosing courses, our peer advisors are really active. Everyone is assigned a peer advisor, and you work with your OPA in groups, and so many resources and information that's provided with your OPA. Other programs we have are Advancing Women in Engineering that all students are open to, and they do lots of programming. It's also a retention program, keeping women within engineering. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. That office, they have research programs within that office, coaching programs, which is, kind of works with tutoring. They also oversee SHIP, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. We have a new organization too, forgetting the name of it, that's also the ODEI is the umbrella office. So lots of resources and advising, obviously your house deans within the college house, and university support services with tutoring. Weingarten Learning Resource Center, they'll do time management, seminars, that's a great resource, counseling and psych services and student health services. And then cultural centers. Many of our students, find a home within many of the cultural centers on campus. So there are lots of areas in which you can, have advising and academic support. And we think that's a really important part of your 4-year undergraduate experience. Research, so, we are a research institution, and we will promote it if you're interested in it. Right now, again, we're just now starting to get back into the research. It's been on hold again because of COVID, so we're not going to have research unless it's safe. But we keep, we're ramping up the research opportunities, but it can only be done in a safe setting. But we have many areas in which you can, look for research. Penn Center, which is CURF, the Center for Undergraduate Research and Fellowships. Within CURF, we have the program, the PERM program, the Penn Undergraduate Research Mentoring Programs. That's typically after your freshman year, sophomore summer. So an opportunity to get involved in research earlier on in your career. Within engineering, we have Lsamp, and that's the research program I was saying that's offered in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Little John is another research program. Radcliffe Scholars, you apply for when you are in your freshman, sophomore year as a part of that research program. And there are classes that you take and you're expected to be involved in research. Again, same with Viper. There's a huge research component to the Viper program. Clark Scholars also has research that starts in your second year. Many students will just go to a faculty member that they're interested in the research. So research typically starts, maybe sophomore, junior year. You don't have as many freshmen that's starting because they're still figuring out what they want to do research in. But many of the students will just say, hey, go to a professor. Can you talk to me about your research? I'm interested in it. Is there any room in your labs? So in all my time here at Penn, I've never known a student who wanted to do research and who could not. We just have some restrictions now just because of COVID. But, again, we're still doing research at Penn right now. So it is important to us. So we also think you need to have balance. You need to balance your academics with your extracurriculars, and that's our students are going to share with you all that they're involved in and with. So within engineering, within engineering, there's over 32 school-based clubs and organizations. We have, Penn's big on community service. There's a lot of community service opportunities within all of Penn, and we have that also within engineering. We have the tech house. So throughout Penn, there are different houses, like Civic Scholars House, Kelly's Writers House, that focus. So the Tech Weiss House obviously is, focuses on technology, and it's open to all students at Penn, not just engineering, but it is housed in the engineering quad. An example of one of our organizations is the Engineering Dean's Advisory Board, known as EDAB, and they meet regularly with the deans. So the students are representing the student voice and meet with our deans. At Penn, there are over 200 clubs. So it's finding something where when you're not in class, how do you want to spend your spare time? It's really nice to have a balance, and it's a way to meet other students. So again, some other examples of some clubs, Society of Women Engineers, Penn Electric Racing is very popular, Access Engineering. So there's many opportunities to get involved within the engineering school. It's easy to become a leader within engineering if that's what you choose. And then many, many opportunities outside of the engineering school. So I went through that pretty quickly. I also want to have everyone write my email down and make sure you keep that on hand and keep in touch. I'm going to stop the screen share, and I am going to, have our students start. So Ellie, did you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to go first. So as Ellen mentioned, I'm Ellie. I'm a senior studying systems engineering with minors in math and engineering entrepreneurship. I'm from Maplewood, New Jersey, but I'm currently living in my off-campus apartment in Philly. At Penn, I'm involved in a few things. I'm the head of the management team for the UPenalizers, which is Penn's autonomous robot soccer team. I also was a group leader for the Advancing Women in Engineering pre-orientation program for the past 2 years. I'm a member of SDT, which is a social sorority. I'm a volunteer tutor for the West Philadelphia Tutoring Project, and I also have a work-study job. I previously sat at the front desk of the ESE office, which is the Electrical and Systems Engineering office, but can't do that anymore, so I'm now the grader for an engineering entrepreneurship class. I think that's about it, so I'll pass it off to Ivan or Aviva.
Aviva, got it?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, my name is Aviva. I am a senior in mechanical engineering. I'm doing a minor in engineering entrepreneurship, like Ellie, and I'm also submatting, like we talked about earlier, which means I'm getting my master's in 5 years in integrated product design, which is a program that's between engineering, Wharton, and the design school. I'm from Westchester, New York, but I'm also in my off-campus house in Philly. right now. On campus, I work as an MLA, which is a machine lab assistant. So I work in the PML, the Precision Machining Laboratory, just to make sure that everyone is not messing up and knowing what to do in that place, which is also really cool because I still get to do that this semester now that the PML is back open. On campus, I'm involved in a lot of stuff. I am the captain of the Quaker Girls dance team, which we dance for the football and basketball games. I'm a part of the head teacher for City Step. We teach dance and creative arts to kids in Philadelphia, in West Philly, to Mead, a group which is focused on entrepreneurship in Israel. I used to be on the Penn Engineering Council board with Ivan, and I was the internal vice president there. We got to do a lot of fun stuff. Engineering community sell and design these sweatshirts. On top of that, I'm also involved in SWE, which is Society for Women Engineering, SHPE, which is Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers. I'm also in Greek life, and I'm also in a senior society called HEX, which is for engineers, and that's what we're all in. That's why we're the ones leading this. As Ellen also said, I studied abroad my junior spring in Sydney, Australia, which was amazing. I studied at the University of Sydney. So fun, and I got a lot of credits that I used for my engineering degree, so it didn't put me back at all. And also now just working in senior design, so if you have questions about that or anything, you can ask them. And I'll pass it to Ivan.
Cool. Wait, can Aviva, Ellen, Ellie, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, sweet. I just threw on some headphones. So I'm Ivan. I'm originally from Sammamish, Washington. And I'm also living off campus in Philly, so that's all of us. I study computer science, and like all of us, I minored in engineering entrepreneurship. And I'm all done with that, which was a really cool experience and a lot of work. Some of the stuff I did on campus over the 4 years, I was a campus tour guide for Kite and Key, which is awesome. So every Friday, I just walk around and talk to people like you guys. So it was super fun, and I wish I could still do it. I was the vice president of Penn Engineering Council, which was super cool. We got to put on a ton of professional development events for students and really grow the community. And now it's part of the tri-board, which is really thriving and putting on new initiatives. I was a part of an organization called Hack for Impact, and we essentially just code and take on projects for nonprofits in Philly. So it was really cool. One of our clients was the Ronald McDonald House, and you get to go there, talk to a client, talk about what they need, what problems they have, and then work on a project the whole semester. So it's super cool to practice your technical skills and just, meet new people. And I'm also part of Senior Society, HEX, and BELL, which is for entrepreneurship and technology. So that's some of the stuff I got to do at Penn. And now I'm a part-time student, so less of a workload, and I'm also working at a startup which works on connecting manufacturers in Latin America to suppliers in America, which has been pretty cool. So that's a little bit about me.
Do you guys want to talk a little bit more about your senior design projects or your senior project?
Yeah, I could talk to mine. So as a part of the mechanical engineering degree, and also all of them, we all have to do senior design projects. So I saw a question about hands-on projects and classes. So this is a super hands-on thing. You spend the entire senior year just making something, and obviously that depends. So for my senior design, I am making a 3D printer that 3D prints solder as well as regular PLA or whatever type of plastic you're using, so that you can create circuit boards inside of your project. And the boards so that you don't have to do wiring post facto or do any post processing. So that's what I've been working on. Now that the labs are open again, we have so many lab spaces, and we're now finally allowed to use them again, which is very exciting. We've been able to make a lot of progress on that. So you get to really make whatever you're passionate about. My team is really passionate about manufacturing and 3D printing, so that's what we went with. But it's a lot of fun.
I think what Aviva talked about is super pertinent and relevant. The idea of that you work on what you've worked on the last 4 years, it's a culminating project. So I don't know anything about anything physical or 3D printing. It's a foreign concept to me. So my team's just making an app, and it's a social platform where you like keep track of different places that you've gone, and you just drop pins, and then your friends drop pins, and you have like collaborative maps, so you can kind of keep track of where everyone's going, and then also show off where you've been, recommend things to others, so more like a social style. So totally different, but also like exciting in different ways.
I'm also doing something entirely different than Aviva and Ivan, but those sound like super cool projects. So I'm working with 4 other systems engineers, and we're partnering with this new local Philly organization called the Terrence Liberation Foundation. Aviva, do you know about it? So Terrence Lewis was wrongfully convicted like 25 years ago for a murder he didn't commit, and then was only exonerated like something crazy like 2 years ago. So once he got out of prison, he started this foundation to help other people like him and help wrongly incarcerated people get out of prison. So the organization is really new, and they need a lot of help because it's a ton of like paperwork and research and like keeping track of forms and communicating with people. So we're kind of taking like a systems engineering perspective of how we can optimize their entire organization. So we're trying to implement some like machine learning algorithms to help them with file management, research, document searching, things like that. And then we're also trying to help optimize their like general personnel management. So making the best use of all of the student volunteers' time so that really they can just help improve their goal of getting more people out of prison who don't belong there. So it's been a cool use of like a bunch of our different systems backgrounds.
So your students are doing amazing things. So you guys always impress me. Do you want to talk about, labs and maker spaces? So obviously we have many opportunities. Do you guys want to address that?
Yeah, I can start off, especially in mechanical engineering. You're going to be in lab spaces and maker spaces literally all of the time. We have so many, and they all have different uses. Like I'm most of the time in the PML or the RPL, which is Precision Machining Laboratory and Rapid Prototyping Laboratories. And those things are for the laser cutters and 3D printers and all of the metalworking you're going to do. So like there are intro classes that you don't even need to be in mechanical engineering to take to get access and to learn how to work in these lab spaces, which are super fun. Everyone loves taking them. It's just like intro classes to learn how to use the laser cutters and 3D printers. And once you've taken those, you can use them whenever you want. You get to access them whenever. There's also the GM. There's just like another lab area. There's so many, and I'm sure that like the ESC labs are also super different. I don't spend a lot of time in those. But yeah, and you have access to them literally all the time in normal years. And you can work on both like school projects or passion projects. So I do a lot of just laser cutting for fun, and it's just the most fun and like super active atmosphere because you have lots of people in there, lots of people making things for fun and doing activities. So I have a lot of fun in the lab spaces since I'm now at MLA, which means I spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, I guess I can also talk about, I've had some like really cool hands-on lab experiences. So I took a class, I forget now what it is, like sophomore spring, that's like MEME 415's cross-listed as IPD 515. It's product design. That was probably one of my favorite classes. So you got to do a lot of research on like coming up with a new product and then seeing if people would actually want it, and then you actually built it. So I made a spatula, which is part spatula, part tong, and literally got to put it together in the Weiss Tech House, which is in engineering, another lab. But for ESE specifically, there's like the Detkin lab and Ketterer lab, I think that's how you say it. And then even like during COVID, I still got to do really cool lab classes. So this past semester, I was in a autonomous robotics class, and our professor literally mailed us our robots so that we could do them at home. And me and my roommate had to like clear out all our furniture in our kitchen so we could set up cones and have our robot like drive around. So there's a lot of really cool classes where you can do hands-on lab work.
The next question I'm going to pose to Ivan, which is, what is the difference between the computer science BSc and BAS? So Ivan is pursuing the BAS, so he's the expert. So Ivan, take it away.
So I'll start with like the formal differences, or Ellen will get mad at me. So it's like BAS and BSE, as Alan talked about earlier, the BSE is like officially accredited engineering degree, and the BAS is like a technical degree. But beyond like that vague, like you don't really know the difference there, it's like the BAS will give you more, like it will remove some requirements. So for example, for me, like some higher level like physics classes or more like super in-depth hardware courses aren't as relevant to what I want to go into if I'm just interested in software. So it'll remove some of those requirements and then just give you more freedom to either pursue minors or go deeper into different subjects. So I took a lot of, so for example, instead of taking like a super hardcore physics class that I'll never use ever in my life, I took like a visualization fine arts class where I got to learn like UX design and like how to make websites and make them look good. So it really depends on what you're interested in. I think you have to come and start those classes in order to know like what is right for you. So I would say there's not really a wrong answer, but the BSE is more common to start out with. And then if you see like, okay, maybe I'm more interested in or less interested in this super hardcore area and want to try venturing off into different other subjects, then the BAS is a good option. But you really can't go wrong. One of the biggest questions is like, will it hurt your career prospects? And I think the answer is no. But Ellen, have you seen anything differently?
For computer science, no, there's a huge demand for computer science. So haven't seen it in the career side of things. So, and you know from all your peers as well.
Mm-hmm. So those are the main differences.
So, I mean, the BSE, is going to have more engineering requirements. So there's going to be, as Ivan mentioned. So the BAS, you'll have more flexibility within the concentration. So there's more engineering in the BSE. And as you talked about, you have to take physics. And the BAS in computer science is the only major within the engineering school where it's not a requirement. Every other major. So for students applying, anyone on this call, physics is required and calculus is required for all applicants so that are applying to engineering. But there's only that one exception within all the majors. So it's just it's almost like again, Ivan's like you find the major that works best for you and the degree that works best for you and your goals. So there was a question about the application changes. Like anything about SATs and applications, you should pose to the Office of Admissions. So any changes, so for example, this year we are test optional since, all the testing sites were pretty much closed and all tests were being, deferred or canceled. So this year we are test optional. So any changes, you should look directly at the Office of Admissions website. So another question we have, this one's a good one for all of you. How do you feel the class research life balance is? Do you have enough time for hobbies and other interests? And I think most people kind of answered that, but I'll pose it again since you heard all of their extracurriculars. So I'll, Aviva, do you want?
Yeah, for sure. I think you can tell from all of the stuff that we're involved in is that like there's definitely that time balance. Everyone is going through the same thing. Everyone has like a lot of workload, but how I describe Penn is a very work hard, play hard school. And you're going to have a lot of work because that's just the way it is. But also everyone here is so passionate about like whatever they're passionate about, and that is the widest variety. And you always find clubs that you can fit into your passion. So everyone I know is involved in at least a couple of clubs, like obviously varying like levels of involvement, but there is definitely time even with a very hard engineering schedule to do whatever you are passionate about. Like I'm involved in some engineering clubs, I'm involved in some dance clubs, so you really have time to do what you want as long as you are able to balance your schedule and like are pretty good with time management, which obviously is something you will learn in college. I was terrible in high school and I've learned a lot. So don't worry about it. It seems scary, but I promise like you'll learn it and you're going to be with hundreds of other freshmen who are dealing with the exact same thing and wanting to do the exact same things as you.
Yeah, I mean, I plus one everything Aviva said. I'll just add on that, like, there's also time to just, like, be a person, too, outside of, like, school and clubs and all of that. Like, I mean, when Pottruck, the gym was open, like, I was a big fan of all the workout classes. I would go a few times a week. There's also time on the weekends, like, as Aviva mentioned, if you plan your homework ahead of time and stuff, like, there's definitely time to go explore Center City. There's a ton of great restaurants. So I know it's, like, cliche, but it is all about just, like, balance and time management and figuring out like what's important to you and then making time to get it done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the only thing I'd add is like in high school you have a very set schedule, so you'll go from first period, second period, third period, fourth period, and you go to sports practice or some music practice, anything after school activity, and then you do your homework and then you go to bed. College, you have total freedom. There's nobody telling you to do anything, and you just allocate your day as you wish, as long as you get your work done. So that means you can go on a walk, you can go to the gym, you can explore new areas, meet with friends, especially like next year when you guys are on campus, hopefully everything's normalized again, and you'll get the full experience of just having the freedom to allocate your time however you wish. And however much time you put into something is what you'll get out. So you definitely have time to do whatever you like.
Thanks, guys. So the next is about internships. So Penn we do not have co-op at Penn. So we want our students to concentrate on their courses and getting their degrees within the 4 years versus a co-op, which often extends the time. So that's just not, Penn just does more of internships. So can you talk about your internships that you have had throughout your time at Penn and maybe how it helped you with your options for jobs, now?
Yeah, I can start off with just saying that the Career Center at Penn is one of like the best in the country. Like they are so helpful. I went to them as a sophomore being like, I have no idea how to get a job. I have no idea how to get an internship. I don't even have a resume. Like somebody help me. And they like really walk you through it. You get like somebody personal to meet with you one-on-one or in small group, whatever you want. And they will work through your resume with you, work through a portfolio if you have it with you, and like figure out the best types of jobs to apply to and what would help you with that also. So like great Career Center. They're super helpful. I realized pretty early on that as well, while I do love mechanical engineering, I like the design side of it a little bit more. So it was a little hard for me to find internships that combine those two, and the Career Center did a really great job helping me find those. And I also really wanted to do travel. I'm very into travel, so I got an internship in Tel Aviv, Israel, working for a startup my sophomore summer doing digital design. And then this past summer, I was supposed to be working at a nonprofit doing their graphic design in Lisbon, Portugal. But since I couldn't do that, I just did it remotely. But it's amazing that you can, even if you find that you want to do something a little different than your major, like they are going to help you and find the things that are best for you. And that's why I'm now doing the product design master's. And that was also very much helped by the career services helping me find that.
Yeah, I can go next. So I totally agree that the Career Center is super helpful. I've gone to them before and asked more for like advice when I was considering like different offers and like how to plan around like different deadlines for things like that. And they were super helpful. But there's also a ton of like career fairs every year. So there's an engineering career fair, there's a general career fair. I'm still getting emails right now about like career fairs that are coming soon. So there's a ton. Penn like brings a ton of companies to you, which makes it really helpful. And it's still hard to get a job. Like it's competitive no matter what, but it makes it just a little bit easier that they bring the companies to you and you can just walk around, talk to companies that have opportunities you might not have heard of, learn of new companies that you've never heard of, and you can drop your resume. I've heard of people getting interviews on the spot from the career fair, so it's definitely effective. And I guess in terms of my internship experience, so I actually got referred from a girl in my sorority my sophomore year to the Microsoft Explore program, which is like half program management or products management and then half software engineering. So I did that my summer after sophomore year, and I really loved the products management. Not so much on the software, I'll leave that to Ivan. But it helps me figure out like that's what I wanted to do. So then I got a return offer, came back as a product management intern, and I worked remotely this summer, and now I will be going back after graduation as a program manager. So definitely a positive internship experience at Penn.
Yeah, I think Ellie and Aviva covered most of how helpful the Career Center is for me. I think also with the career fairs that Ellie talked about, also a helpful part is that they'll also come to interview you. Ellie mentioned that they could do it right after the career fair, but also there's a lot of instances where they'll just fly in and then they'll send out a mass email like, hey, this company is here and interviewing for these spots at these times, like sign up or drop your resume. So there's a ton of different opportunities. Ellie mentioned like through clubs or different extracurriculars, people, older mentors referring you. I think that's very common because as you come to Penn, you'll see like these people that have taken these paths and you're like, oh, I want to be like that guy or girl someday. So it's really cool to find your own mentors. And so I had a similar experience as Ellie. I also worked at Microsoft for the Explore program. And I had like a life crisis there because I thought software was like, oh, you're going to sit at a desk all day and it's super boring. And my personality is more geared to like, I want to work with people and talk to people all day. And so I was really sad, and I was like, I went to the Career Center and I said like, I don't want to do software at all, blah, blah, blah. And then after my junior summer, I just had like a great boss and great mentor and a cool project. And then I started gaining more confidence in myself and saying like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. So I'm going there after graduation to work as a software engineer. So yeah, it's not the end all be all when you're a sophomore.
Ivan's very, very shy. If you haven't gathered, he's very, very shy. So career services, you've heard, they're an amazing resource. Someone had a question about the percentage of our students who go to grad school. I recommend there's a survey in the career services website. If you go to upenn.edu and search for career services, then you can search for the surveys by school. So engineering school surveys, it's going to tell you by class. So, graduating classes are required to do, or we try to threaten if you won't get your diploma if you don't fill out this career services, form. And so anyway, it's going to tell you what our students are doing, what the salaries are, internships, grad schools, type of jobs our students are going into. So it's a great resource. So I would refer you there. Let's see. Someone asked, what's the difference between a concentration and a minor? Concentrations are within your major. Minors are often outside of your, and it require more courses. So anyone that does a concentration, these are concentrations within, for example, mechanical engineering, and you would take one of those concentrations. A minor might be a minor in economics outside of engineering. It might be inside of engineering, like an entrepreneurship, which is actually interdisciplinary. Some of our minors are interdisciplinary, but concentrations are specific to your major, your degree and your major. And let's see, I want to make sure we cover everything. So a lot of questions about entrepreneurship. So one of the questions is the difference between a combined engineering and business and minoring in entrepreneurship. So if you're doing a dual degree, you're actually getting a degree in, if you're engineering in Wharton, if you're M&T or uncoordinated or coordinated, you're getting the degree, which is different than the minor in engineering entrepreneurship, which is within the engineering school, and it's really designed for engineering students. It was started many years ago by Professor Castle, who's actually a Penn Engineering alum. He was in mechanical engineering. He was on the crew team. I don't know if you guys knew that. So all around, student went off into the workplace, was very successful. He came back. This is his second career, is teaching. He was won every teaching award. And it was that engineers have the ideas, but they don't know what to do with the ideas. And that's kind of how that program started. And it has just grown, and it's widely popular. And you could take a course or 2 courses, or you can pursue the minor. So you've heard, like Ivan, I think you're doing the minor. Aviva, are you doing the minor or are you doing the full minor? Okay. So, I mean, it's, you're looking at a difference, a minor is 6 to 8 courses versus a degree, so a lot more requirements. But, I'm always a big proponent of the entrepreneurship because it's very different than your math, science, engineering curriculum. So it kind of, adds a little more to your program, and it sparks a lot of there's a lot of energy. What works what works, what doesn't. They have a lot of guest speakers. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about entrepreneurship, minor, Aviva or Ivan? Ellie, you said you took courses too. Yeah. Anyone want to?
I also have the minor.
Oh, you have the minors. What? Okay, sorry.
Popular minor because everyone right now is so interested in that cross section of engineering and technology. I mean, of technology and management, such as M&T. But even so, as someone who is primarily interested in engineering, just having a couple of business classes can bring you so far. Because if you're a business student, learning engineering is really, really hard. But as an engineering student, learning business really doesn't take that much work. Don't say that's Wharton, but that's why I think the engineering entrepreneurship minor is such a fantastic program, and why so many of us take it is that within just 6 classes you can have such a strong understanding and foundation of entrepreneurship, especially just if you are interested in starting a startup or creating something from your senior design program. Having that as a basis is just so helpful in whatever career you choose, which is why I think it's such a popular program.
So there was a question about how do you study engineering abroad post-COVID? Right now, all of our abroad programs are on hold, so you can't. So pre-COVID, we have engineering program, study abroad programs that are specific to engineering so that you can stay on target for your engineering degree. Aviva did study abroad. Where did you go again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went to Sydney, Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I can talk a little bit. Just basically, there is a dedicated advisor for engineers in the study abroad office who will sit down with you if you want to go abroad and say, depending on your major, because every major has a very different availability for abroad. They'll sit down with you and say, these are the classes that you need to take. These are the places that it's offered. And they'll help you match classes and it's very, very helpful. I did not think I was going to be able to study abroad, and I was very sad about that. But I sat down with this advisor and he said yeah, we can make it work. Let's find you classes. They are they care so much. They really, really want you to go abroad. So if that is something that you're interested in, it's 100% doable. And I'm still fully on track to graduate on time. I can't be a half student or a part-time like Ivan, but I'm still not taking any extra classes. I'm taking the very normal amount. And even with my master's, I'm still able to do that. So it's super easy. Just go to them your sophomore year if you want to, and they will start helping you study abroad junior year, which hopefully for all of you guys will be very much a possibility.
So someone was asking about on campus. I was typing, but I think it's easier to just say, what percentage of engineering students live on campus? All freshmen and sophomores are required to live on campus. All freshmen and sophomores are required to live on campus. I don't know overall, percentage after, sophomore year. A lot of upperclassmen may choose, students can live on campus for all 4 years. Many upperclassmen, choose to live off campus. So I don't know the actual percentage. The housing is all integrated as well. There's not just engineering housing, so everything's integrated, which I think is important. Right now in the COVID world, we had to set up for, everyone has to have their individual spaces. But I don't know the actual percentage, but freshmen and sophomore are required. Freshmen and sophomore are required to have, dining plans as well.
Just a quick thing about that. When they say off campus, just because you guys can't be on campus right now and see what the campus looks like, that can sound a little daunting. Off campus living is a block away from the actual on-campus housing. So it's really not you totally can be on campus for all 4 years, but off campus is actually just a block away. So, and a lot of juniors and seniors will live off campus in houses or apartment buildings. It's basically the same walk as the on-campus people. So it's really not that scary.
Okay, thank you for that, because it is a block. And everyone has bicycles and walks. It's a very close campus. So you can walk everywhere. I'm a big walker. I actually think one of the things that I like to make sure everybody is aware of too, and I know you've all talked about it, but collaboration and within your departments, I just like the students to speak to this, but you can't get through your program alone. Maybe computer science, but in terms of the group requirements, the team, you need your peers. So if you guys want to give your 2 cents.
Yeah, I can definitely talk to that. I have lab classes in mechanical engineering every semester, and you're constantly working in teams. So those teams will also give off to your other classes, and you're constantly working in groups. They always encourage, obviously not tests or giving each other homework answers, but group work is always encouraged. It's always people want to be collaborating. It's just such a hard field, any engineering you're going to do, and in reality, you're not going to ever do engineering alone. In the real world, that's not how it works. So I think Penn does a very, very good job of fostering that ability to work in teams and communicate early on by constantly putting you guys in teams with new people, and just finding people randomly to work with. I think it's a really great program, especially when it comes to collaboration, because you need people. You need to be working with people. Senior design isn't an individual project. It's a group of 5 for me. And it's big groups for no matter what. But even your lab classes, you're going to be working in teams of 3 or 4. So you're constantly going to be working in groups.
Yeah, for computer science, Ellen said it was a bit different, and that's very true because, I was a TA for the intro course since forever, and then there's not much collaboration at all, right? Because you're learning just the foundations, the very basics of programming and computer science, and then as you grow and get into higher level courses and start to say I like this area better, I like this area, that's when bigger projects will come on and you start working in groups of 2, 3, up to 5 people. And then that's when it mirrors what actual industry is like. So as you grow in your experience in Penn, that's when collaboration becomes more and more important. And it's super cool because then you get to say I'm the best at this and this is what I can bring to the table. And then you start picking partners, whether it's your friends, and different people are good at different things. So then you can make awesome products.
I think we've talked about all of the networking too, but Penn's alumni network is enormous. Have any of you experienced it, because I know through career services, you can get linked to an alum actually within. So did any of you use that? I know it's a resource within career services. So know that that's an opportunity to connect with an alum. So we have a volunteer program in place. One question we have is, there's a couple. So what's your favorite campus tradition? That's kind of a fun one. So.
I would like to share one that we actually sadly did not get to experience, but juniors get to do this thing called Heyday, which is at the very end of your junior year. You dress up in these styrofoam hats and canes and these t-shirts, and everyone walks down Locust Walk, which is the main area of campus, and it's basically a moving up ceremony to be seniors. Sadly, we were all juniors last year, so that got canceled for us, but that is one of the most fun, well-known Penn traditions, and it's definitely a good one. I happen to go to the football games a lot because I dance at them. Another really fun one is our toast tradition. In our fight song, we have, it says, "A toast to dear old Pennsylvania." And at that point, one of the clubs on campus called Camp Kesem, which actually is one of the most amazing clubs. I'm not in it, but I wish I was. Like, they do this. They create a camp for kids with cancer, or like families with kids with cancer. And then they make the toast. They sell it for $1 to non-Penn students. For Penn students, it's free. And then when they say, like, "Deal to a toast to dear Pennsylvania," because we can't have alcohol anymore. I guess in the 20s that was a thing, or like a long time ago you could have alcohol in the stadium, but not anymore, especially since we're undergrads. We get a piece of toast, and when they say a toast, they throw toast onto the field. And it's really fun. It's like, especially at homecoming when there's huge crowds, like just everyone throwing toast there. And that classic story is that senior design, one year they saw that this toast thing took so long, so that they made a Zamboni machine as their senior design. So that it just like went across the stadium and picked it up real quick so that they can go back to football. So that's just another thing that shows you, like, senior design can really be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I guess super quick. I'm wearing one of my favorite Penn traditions. This is the pea sweater. It has a 21 on the side. I remember when I came to visit, I saw people walking around wearing these, and I was like, I don't see them at the bookstore. Where can I buy one of these? But it turns out it's also a junior year tradition. So your class board will make them junior year, and it's just like a simple P, and then has your graduation year on the side. But I waited all 3 years to get one, and it was awesome. And now I'll wear it forever.
Yeah, it will be heyday for me in April or May when they have it for us. They're like mailing us. Do you guys see that? They're like mailing canes. So I will dress up and I will walk somewhere. I will walk up and down my street if I need to. But yeah, I think that's like what everyone looks forward to.
There's some great traditions. I mean, it's really fun, some of these traditions. So I don't understand the eating of the hat on Hay Day, but anyway, we have some great traditions. So we're actually at our 4 o'clock time. I want to thank especially our students. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Aviva. Thank you, Ivan, for joining us today and for giving us so many, great answers to our questions and talking about your personal experiences. And I know I'll be seeing you again, but wishing you all the best in this these next couple of months. Thank you for joining us. Please, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, wash your hands, all that good stuff. We hope we can see you in person sooner rather than later. And again, thank you. I put my email in, and
yeah, we could put our emails in the chat also if you have any questions like that are more personalized. Like, you can ask any of us individually over email.
Thank you, Aviva. I appreciate that. And Ellie, and okay, have a great day.
Thank you guys for coming.